Hi, I'm Shane Downey, coming to you live from the GBTA headquarters just outside of Washington, D.C. Joining me today is Jesse Funk from Fox World Travel.
Hello.
Jesse, thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
So, I don't really know how this is possible given how long I've known you. We just had our legislative summit where people come in, where all you GBTA members come in, and we meet with our members of Congress and advocate for the business travel industry. How is this your first legislative summit, and how did it go?
On the flight here, I was kind of asking myself the same thing. I've been involved in the Wisconsin BTA for a number of years, probably more than I care to count, and it seems like every year around legislative summits, something has come up where I was not able to attend. So for a long time, Wisconsin just sent one person. We started sending two about 3 years ago, just to maximize our efforts and get out there a little bit more. So it is, the short answer is I don't know, but I was happy to be part of it this year. So it went very, very well. This is, you always hear about, these things. Obviously, I got reports from people that came back from Wisconsin and talked about how great of an event it was, and they were 100% right. I think seeing the government in action is just terrific, and it can't be matched on any of the news shows or any article you read online or anything. But these people care about their constituents, and there's 535 people representing 330 million in this country, right? And you have to stand up if you want something, and that's what Legislative Summit was about to me, is standing up and making your voice heard. So.
It's fantastic. You're absolutely right. And I'll say, look, we can be the best lobbyists in the world, and we can make the best arguments you can ever make. But you coming out here as a constituent and as a person from back in the home area to meet, take time away from your family, take time out of your work schedule, take time out of your personal schedule to come out to D.C. and go around and meet and talk about these issues. That's what gets us over the top on these type of things and gets legislation passed for the betterment of business travel. So you were definitely a part of the business travel voice and really are helping to advance all of our efforts. So thank you. Thank Wisconsin chapter for coming out and participating. And next year, I bet we'll see maybe 20 of the Wisconsin chapter members. You'll be going toe-to-toe with California and Texas for who sends the most members.
Looking forward to that, and we'll definitely set that as a goal.
Well, let's shift gears for a second and get into the travel policy. Sure. So GBTA research shows a definite link between, or a really important link between travel policy and travel experience, and how both that can matter to employee recruitment and retention. Sure. So as you look at that, are you seeing trends when it comes to the focus on the traveler experience, and what should traveler buyers be thinking of?
Right. So I think on the travel policy side, it starts well before the trip even. And this might be even a first day as a new hire or the day you roll out a travel policy. The days of the 80-page travel policy are quickly going away. Simple guidelines for travel are really starting to be the norm. And that is for a number of reasons. One, nobody reads an 80-page policy anymore, they don't. Right? And on the backside, nobody enforces an 80-page travel policy anymore. So as I talk to clients about revamping their policy, we look at why each paragraph is in the policy. Is it because somebody booked a 5-star hotel 20 years ago when they were supposed to book a 3-star, and all of a sudden 8 pages are dedicated to selecting the right hotel? So I think it starts there. And understanding what the travelers go through on a particular trip is key, because not all travel managers travel. Right. It depends upon where your policy is housed. Whether it's a true travel department or whether it's finance or human resources or things like that. Just understanding what a normal, if there is a normal, trip looks like for a traveler, and starting his or her day at 3:30 a.m. to get on a 5:45 a.m. flight, and that. So I think the trends in the travel policy have shifted much more towards simplicity. And obviously cost is a factor, and I think we'll end up talking about cost here in a little bit too, but recognizing that business travel is not an 8 to 5 job, right? When you do your jobs, and it's answering emails at 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, when you get back to the hotel and things like that, those items need to be incorporated into into a travel policy.
Yeah, so really it is trying to get into the brain of or I guess it's really trying to understand the business traveler experience, and looking for that right balance, right, between the cost savings, the experience, and how you come at that. And is there do you sacrifice one for the other, or how is that? How are you seeing that play out?
Right. So I think for the last, I don't know, call it 20, 30 years, travel managers have been so focused on air, car, and hotel. And those are the only areas that we can save money. And as a number of industry experts and consultants have talked about, you can only push that needle so far, right before. So looking at things like paying for pre-check for your travelers. And yes, it costs a dollar amount to give that to your travelers or a subset of your travelers. But the time that saves for them is different for every company. Whether that's an hourly rate, whether that's a little bit better travel experience for that traveler, keeps them close to that company, I think is key. So, an example I like to use is the hotel situation. So if you think about having a meeting in a downtown metropolitan market, and there's a hotel right across the street, or maybe even in the building, in the office building where you're going to have that meeting, and the room is $300 for a night. Now, depending upon where you're from in the country, $300 can be a lot of money for a hotel room for one night. So the traveler, either by force, by the company telling him or her needs to find a different hotel, or by just wanting to do the right thing, says, I'm going to go out to the suburbs, and I'm going to get a $220 hotel. But so on the surface, you save $80 for that. But you have transportation now into the market where you're going to, and that might be a half hour, might be 45 minutes, depending upon the traffic. Could be an hour and a half one way. So we don't account for that time as an industry. We don't account for that time enough. And again, this is on top of getting on a flight at 5:45 a.m. and now you're in the back of a taxi or a shared ride service or shuttle or something at 5:30 at night, trying to get to where you need to go. So. A couple of weeks ago at our Wisconsin chapter, we had a discussion about private aviation. And that was the topic and the different flavors of private aviation. And we had the corporate director of aviation for a major company in Wisconsin who has multiple planes say, our CEO is at a point where he can pretty much buy anything in the world, right? He's attained that status in life. What he cannot buy is time. Now, as much as I think every business traveler would like me to sit here and advocate for private planes for them and for everybody, obviously not realistic. But we have to take that time factor into account, and it can't just be the $80 on the hotel that's 15 miles away.
It is. It seems like what you're describing is taking a holistic approach and view of travel and the travel experience, and trying to come up with a way that meets the balance, finds that right balance between the experience, the cost savings, and such, that at the end of the day achieves the goal of the trip.
Exactly. That's what it's all about. Why are you going? Why are you traveling? Why are you going on the trip? And ultimately, it's to do the best by your company. And I think the vast majority of travelers want to do that. They want to do the right thing. There's just a miscommunication sometimes about how the best way to go about that.
Well, and I think that's a perfect segue to our personal question. What is your favorite part of business travel?
So I don't think there's a better way to connect with people than to do it in person. To find out what makes them tick, what their challenges are, is to sit next to them or sit across from them at a table. And my parents instilled a love of travel for me when I was very little, and I'm doing that with my kids today. So I think getting out and meeting people where they are, where they live, is really what I like about business travel.
Well, and just for a shameless plug to next year's Legislative Summit, that's exactly what gets us over the top with the Legislative Summit, is you taking the time and going out and meeting those people and having conversations with them where they live and understanding so they understand you as well and have a better picture of what they're trying to do on the legislative front and what we're trying to do on the business travel and personal front.
Excellent. Looking forward to that.
Well, Jesse, thank you for joining us at the GBTA Broadcast Studio. I'm Shane Downey, signing off. Thanks for stopping by.